counseling in stress management, resiliency, work-related and personal issues. And we've also included flyers for our office, for our counseling center in your folders. I'm sorry. We're very honored to have here with us Eduardo Martinez come speak to us about credit. He's a financial education specialist from ClearPoint Credit Counseling Solutions. It's a nonprofit consumer credit counseling agency. He's lectured in fields of money management, health, and education for Fortune 500 companies, universities, public institutions, and companies and community centers. This is our second series of a 4-part workshop in financing, and our next workshop will be on the psychology of money. We've also included evaluation forms in your folders, and we would very much appreciate if you could fill it out on our way out. And I'd like to welcome Eduardo Martinez. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for being here. It's quite a pleasure to be here at UCLA. As Sogan was nice to mention, I've done this at many institutions, including Caltech, Cal State universities in San Bernardino, Northridge, and of course, well, unavoidably, I've been at USC as well. Sorry. So it's a very cool thing that I have a chance to be here in front of you guys. This is going to be a very informative session. We're going to cover a lot of information in a very short period of time. So if you feel I'm going too fast, it's because I'm going very fast. So if you have any questions, if you have anything that is eating you alive, you want to know about how to improve your credit, how to find negative points in your credit report, how does a credit report happen to be created, and what about the credit score, how to improve your credit score, this is the class for you. How many cars is good to have, how many cars is not good to have, what is the right strategies, what are the right strategies to follow when you use your credit. Credit is a very sensitive matter. Every time you talk to somebody about money or credit, people get angry. Have you noticed that? If you ask somebody, what's your credit score, that's none of your business. What do you want to know? What's your problem? I actually was dating this girl, and she asked me, so what's your credit score? Now it's a matter of, relationships. How many divorces in America happen because people share bad credit scores and they mess up the other person's, credit score? It happens. Remember, marriage is a contract. It is a legal contract. So if you don't know the other person's financial and credit past, you might be tying yourself to doomsday when you talk about your credit. You don't want to do that. So let's start by mentioning, yes, it's happening. People are going through trouble with their finances. This class will help you with some strategies and some tips on how to regain control of your money. Money is important. You probably heard, money doesn't grow on trees, money is not important, money comes and goes, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Okay, money is very important, okay? If you want to live in America and this Western society, you need money. If you want to have children, you want to end up your career successfully, if you want to buy a house, if you want some education services, legal services, health services, you need money. Money is good, and so is your credit. Credit is good as long as you know how to use it. If you don't know how to use it, it's like giving a pair of scissors to a baby. You're going to hurt yourself. Never run with scissors? Well, yeah, it applies to credit as well. So this is going to teach you several very basic concepts. I'm not going to lie to you, some of this stuff you already heard it, but repetition being the mother of skills, some of us need to hear it again and again and again. And it is good to ask questions. So if you have any questions, the person right next to you might have the same question. But if you're too shy and you don't want to ask questions, I'm going to have to start asking questions myself. So I'm going to start pointing people and asking questions for you to answer. There is a big need for credit. There is a need for credit. It has a lot of advantages, and of course, like any coin, it has another side with disadvantages. In the case of advantages, you have access to a larger marketplace. You can, of course, buy stuff off the internet, buy stuff off the phone. You don't have to go to the store or carry large amounts of cash, and of course, it's going to be used as a character reference. When you go to an employer, when you go to get a loan, when you go rent an apartment, they're going to ask you for your credit. They're going to ask you for your social. Your social is going to take this person to your credit report and to your credit score. And it's going to be showing your character. How good have you been with your bills? How good have you been with your finances? How good have you been with your credit cards? Have you made your payments on time? Are you paying more than the minimum? Do you have some savings? Are you married? What have you lived with in the past 7 years? Do you know that your credit report includes all that data about you. And if you don't know what's included in your credit report, there might be somebody else using your credit and you don't even know. I'm going to show you in this class how to find negative points in your credit report. So, many advantages about your credit. One of them, it is used as a character reference. A big disadvantage is that your credit is used as a character reference. If somebody else messes up your credit and you don't know about it, your employer, your landlord, everybody's going to know about it, and you're not going to get the job, you're not going to get the promotion, you're not going to get the car, the apartment. Why? Because your credit is not good. Your credit works in mysterious ways. It's like the Coca-Cola formula. Nobody knows exactly how it works. How do they produce these credit reports? How do they produce those credit scores? It is a mystery, but you need to learn the rules that will help you improve your situation. The disadvantage, every time you buy your credit, you pay twice. And if you are not smart enough, you're going to pay many, many more times over the amount you're borrowing. When you use credit, you're borrowing money. You know those little shiny plastic cards you use every day to buy stuff? And you don't feel the pain because you don't see the green, you don't see the cash going out of your pocket. You just grab this little card, and it is demonstrated by some psychiatrists and psychologists that when you use plastic, it doesn't hurt. Why? When you use cash, you give away your money and it doesn't come back, right? Or it comes back in lower amounts. When you use a credit card, you just grab a little plastic card, pass it through this, harmless slot, and makes this nice, harmless noise, boop. And, miraculously, the object, the service is yours, and then what do? You put your card back into your pocket. Goes back into your purse, goes back into your wallet, and your brain is registering, everything's fine. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not spending money at all. It's a miracle. You didn't have to give away your green. So your heart doesn't register, your brain doesn't register, and you keep it going because it's harmless until you get that big fat statement at the end of the month. Then you start feeling the pain. When the credit card company decides to increase your interest rate because you maxed out the credit card, well, they decided just to lower down your credit limit just because, it's in the contract and they can do that. When you have a credit card, you're signing a contract to borrow money and pay it back. And pay it back with an interest. It is not free money for you young people who have gone to those campus days and, they give you free t-shirts and backpacks and cool stuff. And, you go to this raffle. If you fill out this form, you can win tickets to the Super Bowl. And it is so cool. Have you ever met anybody who actually wins something at those raffles? I haven't. But they use those raffles to get all your data, all your information, and they're going to start sending you all these offers, all these credit card offers. And you can have $5,000 credit limit. It looks so cool. Can you imagine you have $5,000 out of nowhere? What is happening in America? People are going into debt in humongous amounts. 25% of the bankruptcies in the United States belong to people under the age of 24. Okay? Why is that happening? Because you lads and girls are getting too much easy access to credit cards. Too fast, too soon. As soon as you turn 18, you're a lady, you're a man, you're independent, you can do anything, the world is yours, and don't go out with it. With your MasterCard, American Express, Visa. There are 4 types of credit and they are all related. We have secure credit, which is a fancy way to say that if you don't pay me, I can get your stuff back. It's secure. If I'm a loan company and I give you a car and you start making payments, if you don't pay me, what am I going to do? I'm going to repossess your car. I can repossess your house. I can repossess the furniture. I can repossess, many things. So I can send you to court. So I have some kind of warranty. But when you talk about insecure credit, we're talking about credit cards. What do you have to give in return for credit cards? Money. Cold, hard cash. That is the only way. So you use it and you pay for it. You borrow money and you pay for it with an interest. And if you don't pay for it, they're going to send you to collection. They're going to send you to, all kinds of very nasty procedures trying to collect that money. We have open-ended credit that has no limit. When you buy a house or when you buy a car, eventually, if you're smart enough, you're going to finish paying for it. And the car and the house is going to be yours. That is called closed-ended credit. But when it's the case of a credit card, you use it, you pay for it, you use it, you pay for it. So it's considered open-ended credit. These are basic concepts that can be very useful for you, especially when you read your credit report. Now, Other concepts. How do you shop for credit? Have you watched those commercials where you can put your granddaughter's picture on your credit card, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend's picture, or your favorite team, go Bruins, right on your credit card. It can be right there. And it's personal, and it looks cool, and it's yours. It's showing the world that you have access to this credit. But that is not the way to buy or actually look for a credit card. Are you basing your decision on the miles, on what is called the affinity programs, the points, the frequently flyer miles, the VIP tickets in the blue room? You don't purchase, or you don't get a credit card based on that. You look for the annual percentage rate, which is a fancy way to call it interest. When you get a credit card and you sign the contract, you are promising to pay the amount you're going to borrow from the credit card and the interest. And you need to pay attention on how much interest they're going to charge you every time you buy something. Is it going to be 10%? Is it going to be 15%? Is it going to be 20, 25, 40, 45? I don't want to say any names, but Sears can charge you as much as 45% of any purchase you make at their stores if you're not careful. Because they have all these rules. If you don't pay on time, they're going to raise your interest. If you pay late, they're going to raise your interest. If you don't have good credit, they're going to raise your interest. If I wake up with a bad mood, I'm going to raise your interest. They have all that written on the contract. And if you're not careful, you don't read the contract, they can do whatever is in the contract. You need to read it, even the fine print. Usually the good stuff is in the fine print on the back of the contract. You know that part nobody wants to read? That is the part you need to read. And if you are legally blind, you can actually tell them and they have to read it to you. Alright? They have to read it to you. Call them. Hey, I cannot read this contract. Can you read me what's there? And they can do that. Now there are two types of annual percentage rates. We have the fixed and the variable. Fixed is when it's always the same. It's very rare to find one of them, because it's a lot of fun to raise your interest rate. It's just too much fun. So most of them are variable. But you can ask. Actually, you don't have to ask. You can demand the credit card companies to lower down your interest rate. Did you know that? You can actually talk to the supervisor. Of course, they're going to give you the runaround. They're going to say, no, we cannot lower down your interest. Yes, they can. But they don't want to. Why should they? It is, again, too much fun to charge money. Now, what about when your account, your statements are going to be delivered to you? Do you know that some credit cards actually deliver your statements late, so you will have late payments? Can they do that? Yes, they can. And if you don't pay, whose fault is that? Yours. You need a calendar. Remember when you came to the budgeting class? I was there. I was there at the budgeting class, and the guy from Balance said, you need a calendar and mark all your payments, including your credit cards. Because if you don't make your payment on time, what's going to happen? They're going to charge you late fees, over the limit fees, over the interest fees, annual fees. It's too much fun. So have a calendar with all your payments. Doesn't matter what it is, your car, your rent, your cell phone. If you don't get the statement, if you don't get the bill, if you don't get the invoice, and you don't pay for it, whose fault is that? It's yours, because you signed the contract. So you need to know when to send the payment. So when are these guys going to send you your statement? How often are they going to prepare your statement? Every 2 weeks, every month, every 25 days? And when are you supposed to make the payment? Do you know that if you make the payment the same day, they can actually charge you late fees anyway, because you paid after 5 a.m. when the account statements actually were cut? Yeah, you need to be aware of the time when they're going to cut your credit card statement. Pay always on time. What about fees, penalties, grace periods? How much are they going to charge you if you pay late? And if you don't have the money, do they have a grace period? Do you know that most companies have what is called a grace period? They have a few days, in some cases a few weeks, for you to make payments, but you need to ask for that. Because if you don't ask for a grace period, you're not going to get it. So ask them, what is my grace period? How much do I have if I don't have the money? And we're going to elaborate a little more about that. When I was back in Mexico, I remember my grandpa. He was a very ultra-conservative guy. In Mexico, some rural areas, the older guys, the old-fashioned guys, carry their money in these big hollow belts around their waists. They call them snakes, or in Spanish, víboras. And they stuff those hollow belts with their money, with their cash. And usually next to the belt, there's a gun. So that's their safety, their safety box. That's the safe way to carry money around. So that is ultra conservative. Grandpa never used a credit card. Grandpa paid solid hard cash, and Grandpa didn't trust a person. Let's not even talk about a machine. He never knew the concept of online banking or ATMs. He didn't trust machines. He really trusted people. He used to stuff big buckets of milk, with money, and he hid them in the backyard, and my uncles are still taking. That was, again, another way to protect his money. That was ultra conservative. Now, some individuals, girls and gentlemen, that carry 10, 20 credit cards, and they feel so proud of them. They show them to you like if they were like grandchildren, pictures. They're so proud. Oh, look, I have American Express, I have a Mastercard, Visa, Discovery, blah, blah, blah. It's like 10 credit cards. That will damage your credit. If you have too many credit cards, that can damage your credit. I'm elaborate on that. I'm going to tell you why. If you don't pay those cards on time, or you pay only the minimum, you are going to be in credit trouble. Why? Because if you only pay the minimum, you're going to be paying that amount for many, many years to come. Suppose you buy something at $1,000 and you only pay $15 every month. You're going to be paying that $1,000 for the next 10 years. And you're going to end up paying like $4,000 to $5,000. Okay, if you finish paying for that. Good luck with that, because as the interest goes up, inflation and cost of life, things keep going more and more expensive. Those people are considered ultra-liberal. What is the happy medium? What is the ideal credit user profile? Some person that has no more than 3 or 4 credit cards. Now, if you already have more than 3 or 4 credit cards, don't panic and start closing credit cards like, there's no tomorrow. Don't do that, because your credit is going to be messed up. I'm going to tell you why. So just be patient. But if you already have 10 credit cards, you need to start considering the possibility of closing some of them. Before closing some of them, you have to talk to a credit counselor. Now, this is the time for the commercial. I gave you, or if you didn't take one, if you didn't take a brochure, it's just a simple brochure. We have some information outside. We are a credit counseling agency. I'm not a bank, I'm not a credit union. I cannot give you money. But I can tell you what to do with your money. Prepare a budget, prepare a spending plan, help you with your credit, review your credit report. I'm going to read a credit report in a little while. I'm going to show you how to get your information and how to control your finances. And we're going to evaluate your situation, your very personal situation, based on what you have and what you don't have. Now, if you look at this brochure, you're going to see on the back a bunch of little funky logos. We have the Better Business Bureau, the Coalition of Accreditation, and the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. If you go to one of those places that claim they can clean your credit report and they can erase bankruptcies, will erase foreclosures, will erase all the negative points in your credit report and leave it stinking new, fraud, scam, lies. Don't believe a word they're saying. If they don't have this qualification, this credentials, get out of there. If they charge you just to talk to you, get out of there. Credit counseling is free. Free and clear. We have offices in Glendale, we have offices here in Granada Hills, we have offices in downtown Los Angeles, we're in Sacramento, Fresno, Stockton, blah, blah, blah. We have locations in 40 states of the United States. So if you have cousins or brothers or family members or significant others who need assessment, don't send them to one of those places who advertise on TV. They advertise on TV because they have the big bucks to advertise on TV. We have no money. We get our funding from other sources, okay? But we're not going to charge you for credit counseling. So then again, where do you fall in this chart? Credit use profile, very important when they evaluate if you are credit worthy. If you apply for a loan, are you going to get it? If you apply for a job, are you going to get it? Who reviews your credit? Oops, what happened? Uh-oh, something happened. Okay, it wasn't me. There you go. There you go. So how do you maintain a positive relationship with your creditors? Creditors is anybody you owe money to. It's a fancy word just to describe somebody who will break your legs if you don't pay on time. So how do you keep a happy relationship with your creditors? Pay your bills on time. Number 1, golden rule. Always, always, always pay your bills on time. Number 2, pay more than minimum. Number 3, restrict credit card usage. Yeah, it's very comfortable to use credit card, but it is also a trap if you don't know how to use it. Control it and don't miss payments. If you forgot about it, call the company immediately. Sometimes we are very proud and we don't want to say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to pay. If you forgot to pay, you better call them fast. Because they're going to send you to collection, they're going to send their goons, and they're going to give you trouble. You don't want that. You don't need that. Has this ever happened to you? Yes.
Let's say that you get a bill, you don't have money to even cover the minimum.
Yeah.
Is it better to send something, so my minimum is $300, and I send them $60, is that a better thing or than just not send anything?
Well, it depends. That is our favorite phrase, Clipboard. It depends on your situation. Because, for instance, if you receive your bill and you don't have the money, you better call them fast and tell them, I don't have the money to pay. Will you accept an advance of $60? That's all I have. And more often than not, they're going to say, okay, yes, send us whatever you can. How long are you going to need to make the payment in full? I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe, a week from now, payday's coming. Okay, then we'll give you a grace period. As I mentioned, a grace period will be mentioned if you ask for it. And you need to know who to call. Who are you going to call? You have the phone number on your bank statement, on your credit card statement. Find the number. Especially if you lose your card, if you lose your checkbook, if you lose all that information, you need to have the phone numbers already programmed on your cell phone, or have a good list at home of the resources that will help you. Go to the website. What is going to happen if you use your credit card when you're traveling in the Bahamas? What's going to happen? All that stuff, you need to call them first. Call them and ask them. But in this crisis times, most credit card companies are very flexible to negotiate with you, especially if you mentioned that you're going through some kind of financial hardship. There's a lot of financial hardship going through the United States. So it is always helpful to call and tell them, I don't have the money, but do it before when your bill is due. Because if you do it afterwards, they're already mad. They're already mad at you, they already have tools to work against you. But if you do it before, they will give you some alternatives. Okay? Now, let's go back to this picture. I want you to pay your attention to this picture. Probably you have kids, or you have nephews, or grandchildren, or daughters, or sons. Have you ever, been there when you go to the supermarket, and what do kids do? Mommy can have this, Daddy can have that, and if you say no, you get this. Okay? Now, some of us do not have children. Some of us don't go through this situation with kids, but all of us go through this situation right here. You go to the supermarket, you go, shopping, and you see a trinket or a gizmo that you just have to have. You just need it. You need the boots. Come on, girl, it's just a purse. It's just a Coach purse. It's a very beautiful Coach purse. You deserve it. You never, treat yourself. Oh, come on, man, it's just a trip to Vegas with the guys. Come on, it's the bachelor party. You deserve it. You need some fun. You turned 21 already. You deserve to, explore the world. And if you say, if the voice of reason sounds in your head, no, man, we need to save some money, we need to pay for school, we need to pay rent, then what do? You get this. Inside your head, you hear that little boy, that little girl saying, but it's not fair. You never give me anything. I work like a dog all month long. I deserve some fun. I deserve, a drink with the girls. I want to go party with the guys. I deserve to, have some fun with the girls because girls just want to have fun. What do you do when you face these situations? Do you stick to your budget? Do you stick to your character? Do you stick to your guns? What do you really, really, really do with your credit, with your money? First of all, you need to know how much is enough. You need to establish limits. How much am I willing to pay for my party time? How much am I willing to pay for, my credit fund? Having credit is important. Using your credit is important because you need to make it grow. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. According to some experts, you should live with 70% of your living expenses. And I actually saw that on the past budgeting class a few weeks ago. 70% of your living expenses, and that is net income, money after taxes, should go to your living expenses, 70%. There is a golden rule. There's a very nice book called The Richest Man in Babylon. You can read that book in less than a day, The Richest Man in Babylon. It has a golden rule. 10% of the money you make is yours to keep. Read it. You can. I'm not getting any royalties out of that book. I just consider it a very interesting book. 20% should go to credit. What kind of credit? All kinds of credit. Your credit cards, your debt in general, your car, your loans, 20%, and you're going to tell me you're crazy. That cannot be done. Do you want me to save 10% of all the money I make? That's not possible. I have, I have bills. I have stuff to take care of. Well, if you don't start now, when are you planning to start? Okay, it's too much. Start with 1% towards savings, 2% towards credit, and use the rest for living expenses. But you need to start somewhere. And you need to start, sometime. The time is now, the place is now.
So all of that is net, 10% savings
Net income.
20%.
10%. Now, that is what, again, the experts say. If you read a lot of books, you're going to find, more often than not, you're going to find this. There are some people who actually give 10% to savings, 10% to charity, 20% towards credit, and they live with 60%. That's up to you. But you need to put some money aside. And again, we're going to elaborate on that in a little bit. But if you already are in credit trouble, okay, too late, and I already did this. Been there, done that, what do I do? What can I do? Let me explain some concepts because there's a lot of confusion about debt consolidation and debt management. Totally different concepts, and you need to know what is the big difference. Debt consolidation is basically when you have so much debt. You have credit cards, you have student loans, you have some collection agencies, and you borrow a big chunk of money to cover them. So it's like opening a big hole to cover a bunch of little holes. That's what this is. Debt consolidation is when you consolidate your debts, paying them all, and you just owe money to a bank. You usually need a bank, and sometimes you need financial or even legal advice. So that is a debt consolidation. Debt management, on the other hand, is when you talk to a credit counselor for free, and then you create a plan to manage your debt and put everything together. The credit counselor is going to call, the credit counseling agency is going to call your creditors and try to lower down the debt. Lower down the interest, lower down the balances, and create one single payment that you will make every single month. Who do you pay? You're going to pay the credit counseling agency, and we're going to distribute that payment through your creditors. Yes, we're going to charge you, but we're going to charge you like between $25 and $35 a month. It's very inexpensive. Some companies will charge you $500 just to talk to you. We are non-profit, and there are many credit counseling agencies. We're not the only one. But you need to know who to talk to. Because if you care for the advertising on TV and radio, or the actors and actresses and the celebrities, yeah, you're going to end up paying a lot of money. Now, you already paid a lot of money to somebody who promised that we're going to clean your credit and they didn't do squat. What do? You go to the Department of Consumer Affairs and get your money back. You can fight it. Somebody who already, went through some fraud, has been a victim of some kind of scam, yeah, I'm going to give you some tools. So stick around, because I'm going to tell you how to fight back. But you need to know the concept of debt management. Now, what about debt settlement? In the past, in the older days, some companies actually decide, okay, you owe me $1,000, but just give me $800 and we'll settle it. Yeah, that doesn't happen that often. That doesn't happen, as often as they used to, because we're in crisis. The companies want their money. But that is basically what debt settlement means. Now, usually that is person to company, or you can, have somebody helping you to do that. But don't expect it all the time. It's very uncommon. And the last resource, the big daddy of all the resources is bankruptcy. And it's very common. You hear people filing for bankruptcy, like it's the easiest thing in the world. Bankruptcy is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Bankruptcy will traumatize. It's not going to just ruin it. It's going to traumatize your credit. It's going to destroy it. Why? Because you're claiming, I cannot pay my bills. I cannot pay my debt. I had it, but for some people, it's the only way out. Let me give you a little example. I met this very smart girl, a lawyer. She was making a ton of money every year. She was buying properties. Before the problem, that happened with the real estate market, she had 10 properties, and she was paying her mortgages on those properties. And she was making a ton of money, very smart girl, trying to secure her future, and then the market crash happened, and all her homes were in the hole for around 250 grand, all of them. So she was $2,500,000 in the hole. And what she wanted to do is she wanted to liquefy her 401k in order to pay for those mortgages. And we told her, don't ever dare to do that. Don't use your savings. Don't use your lifetime savings to pay for something that might not be saved. You might not be able to save it. You might have to let go of some of those homes. Let's try to talk to the loan companies that try to, get to an agreement. She lost, 7 homes. She had to let them go, and she filed for bankruptcy. It was the only way out. For some people, it's the way out. Now, it's a fresh start, but it's going to cost you a lot of time and a lot of discipline to get back your credit. It's going to take some time, but there is life after bankruptcy. You can do something about it after bankruptcy. I know people who 8 years later are back in the 700s with their credit. They're doing fine. The bankruptcy is way behind. After 10 years, it's out of your credit report, which reminds me. In your packet, I gave you this. And let me show you here. There you go. I gave you a sample credit report from Experian. This, you can download it from the internet. This is public information. You can go to Experian and find this, and you can make copies of all the materials I'm giving you. Most of the stuff I'm giving you, I just found it on the internet. There's a lot of information. I'm giving you a lot of websites at the end of this presentation for you to do your own research. This is nothing. This has been 40 minutes, and I'm not even halfway of this presentation. So here's a sample of a credit report, and you can check it out. It has all the different parts, described one by one. You have, the name of the person who ordered your credit report. Who's going to order it? Whomever you authorize. If you don't authorize somebody to get your credit, you can dispute, this inquiry. Inquiries will stay in your credit report for 2 years. And if you're not careful, many inquiries can ruin your credit. That is why if somebody steals your identity, identity theft is the highest growing crime in America. If somebody steals your identity, and they use your credit, and they start ruining it, you can find it here. This is the only place where you can find out if somebody is using your credit. So this is the description of credit report. It's going to show you the index, negative points, positive points, your accounts, where have you lived within the past 7 years, where have you been working. Yes?
When you finish, I wanted to hear your comment about the 3 credit companies. Because I ordered my credit reports and had a really hard time with Equifax. Found out the customer service department is in India, and that just really concerned me because it's our credit.
Yeah, don't we love that exporting of jobs? Yeah, it happens.
It's not retail.
Well, there are some ways to communicate with credit reporting agencies. One of them, actually the best way, is by mail. If you try to call them, good luck. Especially if you call them on a Monday morning. Yeah, it's like calling the DMV on a Monday morning. It's chaos. Try to do everything online, but mostly with the snail mail. It's the easiest way to communicate with the credit bureaus. But we're going to elaborate about that in a little bit. So you have everything right here: positive, negative, public information, requests for your credit history. Who has been viewing your credit report, and why? Have you authorized that credit card company? Do you know that the credit bureaus actually sell their database to some companies? That is why you get junk mail. And do you know that you can dispute that as well? You can ask those companies to stop sending you junk mail, to stop reviewing your credit report. But how are you going to find them? With this. It is the only way. If somebody is using your credit, if you see something that is wrong, that is not supposed to be here, as it happened to me just a few months ago, I found out, looking at my credit report, that I had an account in Delaware, and I was $10,000, in the hole. I don't even know where Delaware is. Come on. I've never been there. I don't have an account there. So what did I do? I called the credit bureaus. I sent them a letter, disputing this information, and 3 months later, it was gone. Now, I have extra help, and I'm going to show you how to get some extra help. But you need to shop around. You've probably seen the commercials. You're probably seeing all this advertising of people promising they can, give you your free credit.com, whatever. Not all of them work. Not all of them work. So you need to shop around. But this is, again, the sample of the credit report. It will show you who you're doing business with, how much you owe, what are your accounts numbers, the phone numbers, addresses, everything related to your creditors. If you see somebody who doesn't belong here, you need to dispute it, and you need to do it fast. Your personal statement, important messages, and this is just the credit report from Experian. You need 3 credit reports because there are 3 credit bureaus. Going back to this, Yeah, we already talked about this. Okay, so how can you reduce your debt? First of all, start prioritizing what is important and what is not. I've met a lot of people who still go to Starbucks every single day and get the Frappuccino Mocha Latte with the cherry on top and the whipped cream. Every single day. How much is one of those things? It's around $5. On average. $5 every 5 days for a working week. That's $25. That is $100 a month. That is $1,200 a year in coffee. Does that make sense? You know, you can go to any supermarket and buy your big bag of Starbucks coffee and brew it at home. You don't have to use those services. Prioritize. Well, how are you going to complete your debit profile? If you talk to a credit counselor, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to ask you for your budget. Show me how you're using the money. Show me the money. Where is it coming from? Where is it going? What are you going to do? What are your debts? What credit cards are banging on your door? Do you have collection agencies? So you need to do that sooner or later. Why don't you start working on a budget right now? You already have the tools. And if you don't have them, I'm going to give you several websites where you can download a budget. So start prioritizing. Reduce your credit usage. Yeah, you need to start reducing your credit usage. You know, put your credit cards aside while you pay for them. First, pay the balances. And negotiate lower interest rates.
Eduardo?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am.
So earlier it said something in there about the number of credit cards that you have. I'm like your grandpa, I'm just never about credit. I've only had 3.
That's pretty good.
2 of them don't have anything on them. I don't want to use them. They're Amex and they both suck because of the annual everything. So I would like to close them, but then that would only leave me with 1. So how is it,
Good question.
What's the like good and versus bad? How do you weigh that? Whether or not you should just...
Let me answer you. Give me a couple of slides and I'll answer that question.
I'm just looking at the clock, so I want to make sure.
Don't worry, we'll get there.
Okay.
I have 7 rules right here for you. And I chose 7 because it's a good number. So just work with me. Don't ignore the phone calls. If you have collection agencies, if somebody calls you, if you know you owe money, answer the phone. There's nothing worse than letting the phone ring and you don't know who it is, or you have somebody banging on your door. You need to answer the phone. You cannot make promises if you don't have the money to pay. Don't make promises. When you deal with credit card companies, with collection agencies, don't give your bank information, please. Never give your bank information, your accounts numbers or your credit card numbers to somebody who wants to collect money. Never give post-dated checks. Post-dated checks don't work. If you give me a check post-dated for December of 2010, I can cash it today. All right, so never do that. Don't accept abusive collection tactics and negotiate with the creditors. You can negotiate. You can actually do something about it. And if you are a victim of abusive collection tactics, you can call the Federal Trade Commission or you can call Consumer First. Oh, but where are they? I'm going to give you their websites. You have a list at the end of your presentation. You can go to their websites and contact them. Identity theft prevention, and I'm getting close to your question. You need to avoid this. When you use your credit cards, when you use your credit, somebody steals your credit card, or you lose your credit card, what are you going to do? You're going to call the company and get it fixed fast. Use complex PIN numbers, protect your information, and report when it's stolen immediately. And again, you've probably seen these companies. Shop around. Shop before you buy. You don't have to listen to the advertising. Believe it or not, sometimes the advertising is wrong. It's misleading. So do some shopping before buying some service. I use one of the services. I'm not going to tell you why because I want you to be a savvy consumer and do your own research. But some of the services are very good. And they will help you protect your credit. Okay? There are many of them. But you can go to Better Business Bureau and do your own research. Find out which ones have a good rating. Yes?
Are you saying that that's really important to do?
What?
Get an ID?
No. No. You need to monitor your credit yourself. Okay. But if you can get some extra help, I know some people in the banking industry who swear for the services. But you need to know that it's available. You don't have to do it, but you can find out and learn if this is most convenient for you. How do you order your credit report? Again, you've seen the commercial of the guy versus the pirate. They're going to charge you. The only place where you can find your credit, your 3 credit reports for free is annualcreditreport.com. It's right there. Okay, or you can call this phone number if you're brave enough. But you are going to get 3 credit reports, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And review your credit report at least twice a year. Find incorrect information, dispute inaccurate reports. You have the right. And if you don't know how to dispute identity theft, you can go to the Federal Trade Commission or the Department of Consumer Affairs. And I'm going to give you their websites at the end. Yes?
Hi, 2 quick questions about this slide.
Yes?
Is it not the case that you can only get these reports once a year
For free. Once a year.
And the other, so if we...
The second we will have to pay.
Right, okay.
It's a good question.
Okay, no. And just wanted to clarify, because I did it and I got my 3 reports, but I thought also that I would be getting my, my
Your FICO.
scores. Yeah.
Oh.
But it was only the...
What is FICO? I'm glad we got to that part because it's very important. What is a FICO score? FICO stands for Fair Isaac and Company. It's a private corporation. It doesn't have anything to do with the government. It is a company that was created many years ago to give you a number, a score. How did they create that score? That is the mystery. Because they use this credit report, or actually the 3 credit reports, they create an average using a bunch of algorithms. I know there's some math majors here who probably have some idea of how to use statistics and all this formulas to create a FICO score. But again, it's like the Coca-Cola formula. They're not going to tell you how they do it. The only thing you need to know is that they use everything included in your credit report to create your FICO score. Your FICO score is conformed by several items. 35% is your payment history. That is why you need to pay your bills on time. Your payment history is the most important thing when you talk about credit. Always pay on time. 30% is how much you owe. The more you owe, the more credit cards you have, they create an average, and that is going to damage your credit score. 15% is how long is your credit history. And that is where I'm going to answer your question. Suppose you have 3 credit cards. One is 10 years old, one is 5 years old, one is 2 years old. Which one do you close first? The 2-year-old. Why? Because you don't want to trash 15 years of credit history. I met this nice lady. She had a Sears card for 45 years. And she decided, you know what, I'm not even using it. So she just closed it. And she trashed 45 years of credit history. And it messed up the credit. It went down like 15 points.
They're all about 6. They're all about the same. I had to open them all.
There you go. Then you need to consider which one to close first, but also you need to be aware of the impact. It's going to impact. How old are they?
That's what I was saying. They're all about 6.
6 years old. Okay.
They're all,
If you close one, you're probably going to lose, 5 points from your credit. I cannot tell you exactly how many points you're going to lose.
That's the other interesting thing that I had a question, because you're right, nobody knows about the FICO.
Right.
But I have it reported to me monthly from all 3 services, and those suckers move month to month. I had one month that jumped up 70 points, and then 3 months later, it went down 90. And I'm like, what the heck? And there's nothing that has changed, because it actually reports to you, your activity. Nothing changed.
Yep.
So what?
And why do they do that? Because they can. I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer. I wish I could tell you, oh, there's something you can do about it. No, the best thing you can do is to follow these rules. Pay your bills on time. Reduce your debt. If you have debt, there are some strategies you can follow. You can pay the small balance before. If you have a credit card with $500 and you have another one with $15,000, what are you going to do? Just get rid of the $500 one, just real fast. Okay, gone. Now focus on this one. Or if you have the same amounts on 3 different credit cards, which one are you going to pay first? The one with the highest APR. The one that is dragging you down because they charge you 30% APR every single month. So pay that one first. Now, also, number 3, choose new credit wisely. Every time you ask for credit, they will generate inquiries. And every 2 years, your inquiries will be erased, but in the meantime, they're going to give you trouble as they pile up. Number 4, increase your savings. Save money. The credit bureaus like to see there is some cushion for you to take care of business if you are in trouble. Yes?
So a regular savings account?
Regular savings account. Regular savings account, 401k, 403b, as long as you contribute, as long as you have some savings, that looks good. Somebody raise a hand over there.
How do the credit reporting agency know that you have savings? Because it's really not connected to
It is. It is. There are two different systems you need to be aware of. The credit bureaus and check systems. Anybody knows what check systems is? Yeah, I see some that's like, I know. I didn't know what Check Systems was, many years ago. Check Systems is the company that controls everything you're doing with your bank accounts. Your ATMs, your checks, your debit cards, every time you move money from savings to checking, that reports to Check Systems. So when you bounce a check, that affects not your credit report, but your Check Systems report. You can get your Check Systems report for free. Did I give you the website? I'll find out a little bit. I think I did. I'll tell you about it. Because yeah, it's important that you check your Check Systems, because if somebody's using your bank account and you don't know about it, the only way to find out is using Check Systems. Write it down, checksystems.com. Look for it. I don't think it's in the list I gave you. But anyway, let's move on. Increase your assets, monitor your credit reports at least twice a year. Review unused accounts. You know that some companies will charge you for inactivity. If you have a credit card and you don't use it, they will charge you inactivity fees, and they can close that account due to inactivity. And if they close your account, because it's specified in the contract that if you don't use it for 6 months, they can close it. It's in the case of some credit cards. That will damage your credit report. Question?
If you pay your credit card off every month, will they close your account?
No. No. If you pay your account in full every month, actually that's a good thing. That is a very good thing. Use it, pay for it. And if you cannot pay it in full, keep it at 50% of your credit limit or less. That will keep your credit healthy. Now, so review unused accounts and talk to a credit counselor. Credit counselors are free. You can talk to a credit counselor just to ask questions, just to find out what is convenient for you in order to increase your credit. Now, we have all these resources. Of course, at the very top, I put my company. That's a commercial. We don't have money to advertise, okay, so I need to advertise somehow. We have Better Business Bureau. That is a business rating service. Who pays for the service? You do, with your taxes. So you can go to this website and give ratings of any service you get. Any company, if they gave you terrible service, go to betterbusinessbureau.org and do the review. Be a very creative writer, and you can criticize, you can write everything you want. It's a lot of fun. House and Urban Development. What's going on with the housing market? Go to HUD. Go to houseandurbandevelopment.gov. What if you've been a victim of identity theft, of fraud? Somebody scammed you. Somebody promised something and didn't went through. What can you do? You can call the Department of Consumer Affairs. It's right there, and it's right here in downtown Los Angeles. Very good service. I've referred several people to this. Because they are victims of very abusive collection tactics from credit card companies, and they have stopped them. So consider that. Federal Trade Commission, same story, frauds, a lot of education, a lot of free materials at FTC and FDIC.gov. You can get a lot of information there. Everything I'm talking about is in the internet, in some of these websites. Stop the Squeeze, Consumer Action, annualcreditreport.com, of course. MyFICO. How do you get your FICO score? You can go to MyFICO, but yes, they're going to charge you. They're not going to give you your FICO score at the websites of the credit bureaus. They're going to give you a credit report. Remember, this is your credit report. Your credit score is generated from this, but it is a totally different story. It's generated by FICO, another company, another private company. So they will use the credit reports to generate your FICO, and you need to buy it. How much is it going to cost you? Around $19. If you go to myfico.com. The websites where when you go to annualcreditreport.com, you can get your FICO from there, but they're also going to charge you. So you cannot get it for free. Okay? I wish you could, but you can't. If you're a victim of identity theft, there's a website right there. What if you want to find services that will help you as a consumer? You can go to healthycity.org, or you can call 211. These are good sources of information. And I'm sorry my presentation is over. I know it's a lot of information, but it's a good time for questions. I'm going to stick around. This is my presentation. I'm sticking to it. I really hope it was informative. I know it was a lot, but I want to thank you for your time and your enthusiasm.
Thank you, Eduardo. This is great. Someone who can talk about credit with passion and humor. That's definitely a great presentation. He's going to be here. We were committed to bring you also services that you know that they are there for you free. So it's important for you to know. This guy came and volunteered to do it, so it was a fantastic presentation. He's going to be around here. Give us feedback. We're doing lunch and lunch presentations based on what I think you need, but maybe you need other things that I'm not sure. We will be open to bring people if you think there is a need to do a presentation, something. Send me an email to the Staff and Faculty Counseling Center and we'll try to get a good speaker for you. Thank you so much for coming and we'll see you soon.